Good morning, Mr. Shaskalsin.
Morning, Chair.
Can you please place, may lead council please place themselves on record?
Good morning, Chairperson. Good morning, Commissioner Lloyd. Good morning, Commissioner Kamara. I suppose I better start again. Good morning, Chairperson.
Yes.
Good morning, Commissioner Beloy. Good morning, Commissioner Kamala. My name is Sean Abrams, and I'm representing Mr. Sibanyoni. I'm not alone today. I'm with my learned friend, Ms. Sampati Kofa Lebaking. I'm also with Mr. Svelishle Mfeka. I think he's sitting directly behind me. And then our instructing attorney is Mr. Mpoke Magani from the law firm Mpoke PK Magani Attorneys Incorporated. And of course, we have one of the other attorneys present as well, Mr. Wesley Manyaka.
Thank you, Mr. Abrams, and good morning to you too. Good morning, Mr. Sibanyoni.
Good morning to you too, Chairman.
Thank you. Must I administer the oath right away, or are there any preliminaries?
Chair, there is the preliminary issue of postponement after today. Mr. Sibanyoni is appearing in the Delmas Regional Court on Tuesday, and his legal team asked that they might have Monday for preparation. That seemed a perfectly fair request to us, and so what we have agreed is that Mr. Sibanyoni will address his witness statement today. The questioning will really be just to amplify and elaborate on certain statements that he makes, but won't be intrusive questioning. And then he will be postponed at the end of the day. Mr. Abrams and I had chatted about a postponement to, now I've lost my date, I think it was 21st of September. And that certainly suits the evidence leaders and Mr. Abram, and obviously the postponement is in the hands of the Commission, but from our sides, both of our sides, it is agreed.
Yes, but please remind us right at the end to postpone at that stage.
Indeed.
Thank you very much. Mr. Sibanyoni, please place your full names on record.
Thank you, Commissioner. My name is Johannes Matota Sibanyoni.
Will you be swearing or affirming?
I'm sorry?
Will you be swearing or affirming?
Swearing.
Do you swear that the evidence you are going to give is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth? If so, please raise your right hand and say, "So help me God."
So help me God.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Shaskalsin.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning, Mr. Sibanyoni.
Top of the morning.
Mr. Sibanyoni, you have given us a very lengthy statement. I understand from Mr. Abrams that there are a number of issues that you would just like to correct in that statement before I ask you to confirm it. So can you take me through anything that you want to correct or change in the statement before I ask you to confirm it?
Thank you so much. The first one will be in paragraph 150, where it says...
Sorry, Mr. Sibanyoni, can you give us a page number as well so that we can just get there quicker?
With me here, I've just jotted down in terms of paragraphs.
No problem.
Yeah.
I've got to page 52.
Yeah, in that one, what I wanted to clarify was me first meeting General Mkwanazi. That was in the year 2020.
2020?
Correct.
Thank you. And the rest of that paragraph remains unchanged?
Yes.
It's just the date. Anything else?
Mr. Chairperson, if you look at paragraph 151, Would that then not require an amendment as well?
Paragraph 151.
In the
Which
first
one?
line, in the first
The
line,
assassination attempt.
you say, so 151, the context and purpose, you say the meeting took place in the period following the death of Mr. Msibi in 2024.
Yes,
And
that's
yet-
the second one. That one is correct.
Okay.
So that would be a second meeting with
That would be a
the
second
Lieutenant
meeting.
General. Then can we also change in paragraph 150, because the first sentence says, I met Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi on a single occasion.
Yes,
So you've met twice.
yes, we met twice.
So do we delete on a single occasion?
No, we changed the first one. That says, that's paragraph 150. The first time I met him was in 2020.
This is still confusing.
So it should read, I met Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi for the first time
Sure,
around April 2020.
correct.
Okay.
And then 151 would be the second, or would it be the last encounter? Did you meet him between 2020 and 2024?
Yes,
So 2024 referred to in 151 would be the last time you met him.
correct.
Thank you.
So must we say a second meeting took place?
Anything else to correct, Mr.
Then-
Sibanyoni?
Then we go to paragraph 220, that is page 75.
And the correction?
The correction is, please remove the first sentence at all. Which means we're going to start from in the period following.
Noted.
Then the third one will be 221, paragraph 221. We replace the name of Sindane with President Apna Tsebe.
Sorry, please repeat the name.
Apna Tsebe,
Tsebe.
correct.
T-S-E-B-E.
Yes.
Okay.
And we replace that twice. Twice in that paragraph.
Correct, yes.
And is there anything else, or is it?
No, no, thanks.
Thank you.
I think, with your leave, Chairperson, I think there's one more paragraph, paragraph 225. In the first line, the name Sindani also needs to be redacted and substitute it with the name Tsebe.
Do you agree, Mr.
Correct.
Thank
Yes.
you.
What do we then do with 226, the second sentence? Does it remain?
Thank you for asking that, Commissioner. It does indeed remain. It has no bearing on the previous paragraph. In fact, it's a direct response to the main question.
You said that was all, Mr. Sibanyoni.
Correct, Commissioner.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Chaskalson?
Then, Mr. Sibanyoni, can I ask you to go to paragraph 82 and just confirm that that's your signature at the end of the statement? Sorry, page 82, not paragraph 82.
Oh, okay. Yes, it is.
And subject to the corrections that you've just asked us to make, can you confirm that what you say in the statement is correct?
Correct.
Thank you. Now, your legal representatives have discussed with me the section of your statement from pages 1 to 15 that deals with the correspondence between yourself and the Commission and your reservation of rights that is recorded there. And by agreement with your legal representatives, I'm going to note your reservation of rights is recorded there, but we're going to start leading your evidence from page 15, which is where you speak to your personal background and professional life. And can I ask you then the first section that you speak to is your personal background and professional life, and maybe if I can ask you to read paragraph 23, which describes where you come from, and
Page 15.
page 15, paragraph 23.
Aren't we flighting? Thank you, thank you. But please do not read the address into the record.
Okay.
Perhaps you may just mention the district. I don't think there's a problem with that. Thank you.
Can I start, Commissioner?
Please do, and in fact, if you can just keep reading, I have nothing that I want to probe or clarify beyond, from paragraphs 23 to 32. So if you'd like to read everything into the record, please do. If you'd just like to highlight particular parts of your background and your how you describe yourself and why you're here, feel free. You can read everything or as much or as little as you want.
Okay, thank you. I was born in Katlehong, Germiston, raised in Kwaggafontein, in the Nkangala district, Tembisile, and a local municipality in Mpumalanga, which has been my parental home since the age of 5 years old, and which I regard as my community of origin. I've lived and worked in the Tshwane region for the past 25 years. I also maintained my parental home at Nkangala district, where I have built properties for each of my 3 wives. My roots in both Mpumalanga and Tshwane are deep, and my ties to both communities enduring. I'm a businessman and have so been for the past 42 years. My primary business interests encompass the minibus taxi industry and related services, property investment and development, community development specifically. I am the president of the South African Local and Long Distance Taxi and Bus Organization, abbreviated as SARBO. I'm a director of MJS and Sons Transport, a taxi business operating as a sole proprietor which owns and operates in excess of 80 taxis. I employ approximately 250 people across my business activities. I'm a director of Santaco Trading Property Ltd, trading as Taxi Choice, a specialized service partner of the South African National Taxi Council designed to formalize, secure, and streamline the taxi industry. I'm a director of the Taxi Recapitalization South Africa Pty Ltd, abbreviated as TRSA. I am the president of the Sibanyoni Foundation, a non-profit organization dedicated to empowering marginalized communities addressing economic inequalities. I'm a director of PremisCan Pty Ltd. I hold property interest in the Tshwane region. I've built this business interest over more than 42 years through legitimate commercial activity. I'm proud of the business career I've built. I have at all times endeavored to conduct my affairs in accordance with the law. Before proceeding to address the substantive matters posed by the Commission, I consider it both necessary and appropriate to place on record who I am as a human being.
Sorry, Mr. Sibanyoni, you should please read the headings as well.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. My apology.
No problem.
Okay, we're back into A3. The man before this Commission, faith, humanity, and personal identity. Before proceeding to address the substantive matters posed by the Commission, I consider it both necessary and appropriate to place on record who I am as a human being. I do not appear before this Commission as a name in file, a reference in an intelligence report or subject to a dossier. I appear as a full human being, a man of faith, a husband, a father, a son, a businessman, a community leader, and a survivor. I set this out not as sentiment, but as context that the Commission must bring to its assessment of everything that follows. A man of deep and abiding faith. I'm a man of deep and abiding Christian faith. I've worked with God throughout my adult life, and my faith has been the bedrock of my endurance through circumstances of extraordinary personal danger and institutional failure. I do not regard my survival of 2 assassination attempts as mere fortune. I regard it as providence. This faith is not peripheral to who I am. It is constitutive of it. It shapes the way I conduct my affairs, the way I treat people, and the way I approach this Commission. Roman figure number 2, husband, father, and son. Equally important, I'm a husband and the father of my children. I've built a family and discharged my seriousness and care my responsibilities as a husband, as a father and a provider. I've also honored my obligations as a son to my family of origin. The violence and the persecution to which I've been subjected over many years has not been suffered by me alone. It has been borne by my entire family, who have lived for the years in the share of threats that I've endured at extraordinary personal cost to shield them from. When gunmen opened fire upon me in 2006 and again in 2020, it was not merely a man they shot, it was a husband and a father. I know and understand the temptation to simply regard one as a mere statistic in an industry riddled with violence and simply contend that what must follow is violence that is not obvious. To do this will be a regrettable stance. Those who are compelled to appear before the Commission of Inquiry carry with them their families, their histories, and the human weight of everything that has been done to them, including the very after effects of life after Madlanga, with which this Commission must be acutely aware. The effect should not in the end be exacerbated exposure to danger and a multiplicity of attempts on one's life. The Commission must treat these issues with sensitivity they deserve, considering the actual circumstances that one and one family is likely to face after this. Roman figure 3, community leader and employer. Beyond my role in the taxi industry, I add that I'm a substantial employer of approximately 250 persons across my various businesses activities. A community leader and the founder and president of the Joe Sibanyoni Foundation, a non-profit organization dedicated to empowering marginalized communities and addressing economic inequalities. I've invested in the communities of which I operate with sustained commitment and personal conviction. The destruction of my industry standing and the ongoing threat to my life and liberty are not abstractions. They have direct and human consequences for the men and women who depend on me for their livelihood, and for the communities that have benefited from my commitment to development and upliftment. From figure 4, a survivor twice over. I have survived 2 deliberate attempts on my life in and around 2006 and on the 10th of August 2026, each time by the grace of God. 2022, sorry. Each time by the grace of God, I have returned to my family, to my faith, and to my community. The first time, the state failed to deliver justice for the attempt. As I address more fully in Part B, the perpetrators of the 2022 attempt were likewise not brought to justice for approximately 3 years. I have not been broken by these events. I have not sought private retribution. I have cooperated with every legitimate authority that has engaged me. That is not the posture of a criminal. It is a posture of a law-abiding citizen who has faith that the justice system, imperfect as it has been, will ultimately prevail. On figure 5, why I'm here. I am before this commission because, despite very clear and ambiguous willingness to assist the commission, I'm compelled to appear simply because could not be provided with the context and information that gave the rise to the Regulation 10.6 notice being issued to me. A subpoena was served upon me, and I appear under the legal obligations it creates. I do not minimize the obligation nor the Commission's authority to enforce it, but I appear not only as a compelled witness, I appear as a South African citizen who believes in constitutional democracy, who has tried over more than 40 years to build something of genuine value in this country, and who deserve, as every citizen to this republic deserves, the full protection of the law and the accountability of those who exercise state powers in his name. I appear with the sincere and deeply felt hope that this commission will be different from the institutions that have failed me before it. A5. The industry in which I built...
Sorry, Mr. Sibanyoni, if I can interrupt at this stage. From A5, you speak about the taxi industry as a context for a lot of the things that you're going to be speaking to in your statement. Correct. And I must say, from my side, I found what you had to say there incredibly informative and very, very helpful. For the purposes of going through it, I'm going to ask you to pick up, we're going to deal at length with the Shongwe Commission because you do at a later stage in your statement. So maybe on this section, if I could ask you to start at paragraph 35. And if there's anything, I mean, you don't say anything in 34 that you won't come back to in considerable detail later when we address the Shongwe Commission specifically. Unless you would like to, nonetheless, to repeat 34 and 33, I would ask you to skip to 35.
Okay, should I start at 34, paragraph 91? That's what you said?
No, page 20, paragraph 35. Where you speak to the...
Just a minute, Mr. Chair. I'm just checking if my colleagues do have annexures I and J. I don't.
No, and in fact, that was an issue I should have raised up front.
Yes.
Annexures I and J are we haven't been provided with annexures I and J yet because Mr. Sibanyoni and his legal team have been unable to obtain them.
Oh, okay.
But they are trying to source them from the two previous commissions.
Oh, right.
And when they're made available, we will they'll be forwarded on to us. Sorry, that was something I should have flagged right.
All right. No, thank you.
We indeed confirm that, Chairperson. We have engaged the former secretary of the Shongwe Commission, as well as the author of the other commission that we make reference to,
Yes.
to obtain the relevant documents that we've committed to providing. We have engaged some challenges in that regard, but we are working around the clock to retrieve the relevant documents and make them available to this commission.
Thank you. Thank you. You were asked to continue from paragraph 38, Mr. Sibanyoni.
35, Chair. 35.
In my head, I had 35.
The historical origins, the apartheid exclusion and the emergence of taxi wars. The violence that characterizes the contemporary minibus taxi industry is not a recent aberration. It is a product of a long historical trajectory rooted in apartheid exclusion under the Motor Carrier Transport Act of 1930. Only a limited number of licenses were issued, and over 90% of the taxi applications by Black or African operators were rejected. The practical effect was to ban Black South Africans from meaningful participation in the formal transport economy. The industry that emerged under these conditions operated outside the formal regulatory framework out of sheer economic necessity and as an act of economic resistance and survival. The seeds of later conflict arising from issues such as contested routes, informal association structures, the absence of law dispute resolution mechanism, and the reliance on private enforcement were planted in this era of systematic exclusion. Paragraph 36. The Welgemoot Commission of 1981 limited its mandate to buses rather than minibus taxis, leaving the minibus operators without institutional support. Its recommendations contributed to the Transport Deregulation Act of 1988, as documented by the Shongwe Commission, drawing on research by Londega Princess Ngubane of the University of KwaZulu-Natal. The regulation led to an increase from approximately 3,752 taxis to approximately 39,604 taxis within a period of only 3 years. That nearly 11-fold expansion, in the absence of a coherent regulatory architecture, route planning capacity, or institutional support, created the conditions for intense and immediate competition over the routes and passengers. Paragraph 37. The competitions for routes became fierce and violent almost immediately. The late 1980s and 1990s saw the emergence of what Jackie Dugard of the Center of Study of Violence and Reconciliation characterized as a transition from low-intensity war to mafia war. Taxi violence in South Africa between 1987 and 2000. What began as a low-intensity conflict over economic territory escalated into organized lethal violence involving hired gunmen, association-level mobilization, and the systematic targeting of rival operators. The advent of democracy in 1994 did not eliminate these structural problems. The National Taxi Task Team, established on the 18th March 1995 as a ministerial committee, and the enactment of the Gauteng Minibus Taxi Type Service Act 11 of 1997 were genuine interventions. A memorandum of understanding was concluded between government and industry, and Santaco ultimately emerged as the preeminent national representative body. Yet structural economic conflicts over routes, association members, and territorial dominance were not resolved by the political transition. Route wars, assassinations, and uncounted money collections continued unabated. The structural drivers of violence. Now we are in 39.
Again, if I can just interrupt here, at this point I'm going to essentially ask you paragraph by paragraph to amplify parts of what you're saying there. So maybe if you get to the end of paragraph 40, then I'll just ask a couple of questions just to understand better what you're referring to there. Same with 41 and onwards.
Okay. The Shonga Commission, there are 39. The Shonga Commission found that the business model of the minibus taxi type service industry contains within the structural preconditions for violence. These drivers have not been documented consistently across multiple inquiries spanning more than two decades.
Have been, you said have not been.
Yes, have been documented consistently.
Yes.
Yes, sorry. Number 40, route wars constitute the fundamental economic driver. Control of a route means control of income. Associations operate as a de facto gatekeepers of economic participation. The provincial regulatory entity, which we normally call PRI, requires applicants to produce associations' letters of recommendation. Despite this not being a legal requirement, thereby empowering associations to exclude non-members and control who operate and on which routes.
So if I can come in here, can you tell us practically what that means? So let me give you an example. Assume I decide to give up law and I want to get into the taxi business, and I want to run a taxi on a particular route. Say one from your ancestral home in Kwaggafontein to Tshwane. How do I do that? Who do I speak to? Who will control whether I can do that? What do I need to do?
You firstly write a formal letter to the chairperson of that particular association. In two instances, whether you would like to have a meeting with them or you go straight to the matter. Then, once they allow you to participate in the meeting, you'll be easily asking them what is it that you are here, which is to conduct business with them. Then for the mere fact that you don't have a permit, if they accept you with all their conditions, they will write a letter to the Department of Transport, to this board of which is named PRI, for that this application must be approved. Then after the application has been approved, it is then that you will go to purchase a vehicle. Then after purchasing a vehicle, the permit will be attached to that vehicle. Then you start operating.
So there's one association that would be operating on that particular route,
Correct.
and that's the association that I would have to go to.
Yes, sir.
You don't have competing associations on...
No, currently we don't have. It used to be.
And since how long... and is this one association, one route, a principle across the industry now, or is it sort of patchy across the country?
It differs with associations, yeah.
And so I go to the association first.
Yes, you write a letter to the association.
They, if
they
hopefully
accept
give
it,
me
they
an
reply to
audience,
you. Yes.
and I explain what I want to do, why I want to do it.
Sure.
They then assist me to apply to the department to get a permit.
Yes,
And the permit will be for that specific route, which is the route controlled by that association.
correct.
And I have to become a member of the association before they'll before they'll support my application.
Correct.
And membership of the association comes with what rights and obligations?
The joining fee is there, yeah, which forms the backbone, because it has a receipt.
And then are there sort of like monthly association dues that you pay as a member of the association,
Yeah.
or is it just the joining fee?
No, there is that, but it differs with association to association.
And you say in 40 that de facto, the PRI says won't look at your application for a permit unless it comes supported by an association, but that you say is not a legal requirement.
Yes,
So in effect, what's happened now is that the associations have, although it's not a legal requirement, in practice, the associations control your right to operate lawfully on a particular route.
sure.
Thanks. Can
Sorry, before you move on, this process, this approval process, association and PRI, is it a once-off approval process that entitles you to then introduce further vehicles? Or with each vehicle taxi that you want to introduce, you have to undergo the same process?
No, not at all. It's a once-off payment. Then as they accept you, you'll be getting some rules and regulations because it differs from one association to another in line that some associations, they operate with 10 taxis. You'll be given that latitude.
Okay.
Some others, 1 or 2, there it goes.
Thank you.
Can I then ask you to go to paragraph 41 where you talk about blanket money? And again, I'm going to ask you to possibly expand at the end of it.
The practice known as imali yepakete, i.e. pocket money, involves the daily or the weekly collection of unaccounted funds from drivers by associations themselves. The Commission found that associations have become a law unto themselves through this practice, that money is not properly accounted for and is used at the discretion of executives to fund security companies and payments of fired gunmen. A related practice, imali sugisi, stock money, involves drivers being given a daily target and paying themselves only after that target is met, incentivizing reckless conduct and route encroachment.
So again, just to clarify, you've got three different sets of players here. You've got the association,
Yes.
you've got the owner, who will employ some drivers, and then you have the drivers.
Correct.
Now, the owner will be paying the association an entry fee and will probably be paying monthly fees as well that are formal fees in terms of the association rules.
Yes.
But of course, the owner's not physically present at the taxi rank or at every taxi rank. His drivers are the ones who are in the vehicles at the ranks. Now, as I understand what you're saying, bucket money is when representatives of the association, or at any rate of the association executive members, go to the ranks and say to the drivers, you've got to put money in the bucket. Is that correct?
It's called the pocket money, not like you've got your literal pocket.
Yeah.
Yes, it's
Sure.
just called like that.
Maybe it started out that way.
Yeah, not that, but it's called like that.
Okay,
Yeah.
so they come and say, okay, where's the bucket money? And will they say, is it like a flat rate? Is it a percentage? What are we talking?
It's just a flat rate.
So they'll go to a driver and say, I want 500 rands for you.
No, it can't be like that.
Sorry?
Yeah, it's a flat rate.
It's a
just
flat
a flat rate, yeah.
And everyone pays the same flat
Everyone
rate.
pays the same.
And that money is just, according to what you say, there is, presumably it's paid in cash.
Yes.
And then it is a sort of slush fund that the executives of the association can use as they want.
Yes.
You talk about some of it being used to hire hitmen.
Yes.
You talk, is some of it just appropriated by the executives and just kept for their own cash, or are there certain informal rules relating to bucket money?
There are no rules to be precise, but this is what is happening. And I must put it on record that, yes, we normally see those kind of actions. Hence, as leadership, we're preaching that this is not the only way to go. We've got very formal ways where we can address this thing, because these are the things that are leading towards violence in the industry.
Chairperson, so before my learned friend proceeds any further, we're not objecting, but we just want to place on record the greater portion of these paragraphs that Mr. Sibanyoni speaks to are findings of a commission of inquiry. So it's not it's not Mr. Sibanyoni's personal findings or his personal views. He's recording findings of a commission who heard the evidence of numerous people even people in camera. So we must be careful to attribute the contents of these paragraphs to Mr. Sibanyoni's own knowledge. I would just like the Commission to reflect on that, and also my learned friend, just to be mindful of the questions posed to Mr. Sibanyoni and his ability to respond to some of these questions, because he certainly would not be able to respond to all of them simply on the basis that these were findings of a Commission of Inquiry and not his personal assessment or views or findings or position.
I don't think it's as easy as all that because Mr. Sibanyoni is a player in the industry. So I would imagine he knows some of these facts personally. Where Mr. Sibanyoni, where you are not able to respond to the facts in accordance to what you know personally, you may simply tell us so.
Okay.
And you may say, yes, I'm aware that this is what the Shongwe Commission found, but personally I know nothing about that.
Chairperson,
Yes.
we're satisfied with the
Yes.
position taken by the Commission.
Yes.
And we're happy if we
Yes,
proceed.
yes. He's been a player for over 42 years.
We accept that,
And-
Chairperson,
and-
and
and-
we don't take issue with
and
that.
is-
We know the role that he played,
Yes.
and we're here to assist the Commission.
No, we
Mr.
understand.
Sibanyoni is here to
Yes.
take the Commission into confidence,
Yes,
to take the
yes.
country into confidence.
Thank you.
And to assist as best as he possibly is able to.
Thank you,
Thank-
thank you,
thank you,
thank you, Mr. Abrams, thank you. Yes, Mr. Shaskalson.
Thanks, Chair. Mr. Sibanyoni, we've talked about bucket money. SOC money, as I understand it, is about the relationship between owners and drivers. That the owners employ a driver, they say your target is so much per day.
Yes.
I expect to get, I don't know, 1,000 rands from you today, every day. If you manage to do more than 1,000 rands, well, then you can keep what you do more than 1,000 rands, but every day you must pay me 1,000 rands.
Yeah.
And the SOC money is what the drivers keep over and above the targeted
Let me
amount.
just add on it and explain it further. It comes in two folds. If you put a target on a driver of 1,000 rand, then on that particular day he comes to you and give you 800 rand. Then there will be a sort of an argument as to where is this other money. Then he will tell you all this type of stories. We didn't make it today. I had a breakdown there by the road. Then you start searching him. As you're searching, you'll find other money inside the socks. Hence the socks money, yes. Because he knows you can even go to an extent of searching the car, but you start with him as he's here. Then when you search him, that money in most instances used to be inside their socks. Thank you.
If a driver does not make his target on any particular day, is that the money he owes the owner for the next day, or
Not
are
really.
they settled for the day?
Yeah,
It
not
doesn't
really,
carry
yes.
over to the next day.
Yeah, sometimes in, sometimes out, but not real.
And does the driver, if the driver makes over and above the target, is
He
that
takes
for the
himself.
driver?
Yeah, that's for the driver.
Then moving to paragraph 42, if you would read that finding of the Shongwe Commission.
Number 42. Incumbent associations executives resist vacating positions even after being voted out. Because of the financial flows they control, some executive members hold neither vehicles nor operating licenses, yet occupy leadership through unscrupulous means. When internal conflicts escalate, concerned groups or splinter associations emerge, each generating new route dispute and further violence. Associations deploy squad cars to monitor routes and enforce their decisions, including unlawful money collection. Illegal operators enter routes through intimidation or through corrupt executive complicity. Personal jealousy of members who grew their business fleets, cultural and tribal tribal dynamics, insisting on exclusive group control and political interference during elections have all been documented as an additional driver.
So again here, this is a summary of a finding from the Shongwe Commission. Is there anything you would amplify there? Anything from your own experience that you think would help us?
No, with this one, nothing at all.
Can you continue that?
Number 43, these structural drivers operate in combination. They create an environment in which violence is not an aberration, but a forcible and recurring feature of economic competition. They also create an environment in which senior industry leaders, precisely because they occupy positions of influence within associations and representatives bodies, are themselves primary targets of that violence. The Primary Commission of Inquiry, a chronicle of attempted solutions. The Shongwe Commission was not the first inquiry into taxi violence. It was the latest in succession of commissions that correctly identified structural causes, made recommendations, and largely failed to produce lasting change. Number 45, in February 1999, the Nkosi Thomas Commission was established in Gauteng by the then MEC Kabisi Musunkutu, chaired by Advocate Lindi Nkosi H. Thomas. Its final report was never publicly released because naming witnesses would have placed them in mortal danger. The suppression of that report is itself evidence of the depth of the security crisis surrounding any attempt to investigate taxi violence through public processes, a pattern of witness vulnerability that persisted for decades and that the Shongwe Commission would later address through extensive in-camera hearings. Number 46, in May 2000, a commission was established in KwaZulu-Natal. Its provincial significance is compounded by the fact that KwaZulu-Natal was subsequently identified by the Shongwe Commission as a primary source of hired gunmen deployed into Gauteng taxi conflicts, a finding that speaks to the cross-provincial structures character of the violence. Number 47, in 2005, the Western Cape Commission identified corrupt activities within the Western Cape Operating License Board as a central cause of conflict and recommended a semi-permanent dispute resolution body. That recommendation had still not been implemented when the Shongwe Commission reported in 2021, 15 years later. The Shongwe Commission itself made the same recommendation. The recurrence of the same prescription across commissions separated by more than a decade is itself evidence of a systematic non-implementation. Number 48, at the inception of the Shongwe Commission in November 2019, Justice Shongwe stated that he was not aware of any prior commission into the taxi violence in Gauteng that have produced a final official report. The industry has not suffered from a shortage of diagnosis, it has suffered from a shortage of implementation.
Can I stop you there? Do you have any theories as to why there's been no implementation? Where have the stumbling blocks been?
You specifically in this Shongwe Commission or all?
Across the board, you're saying there is a decade of systematic non-implementation of recommendations. Do you have a sense of why that is the case? If not, you don't, just say no.
Yeah, from my side, all I know in the Gauteng Commission that I was part of, giving evidence at the time as to matters of taxi-related conflict, I personally gave evidence there relating as to what is it that I see happening. But what happened when we were about to come to finality of that, ultimately what we found, it was on the day, it was supposed to be on a Monday, then we found a message that the commission has been disbanded. There's not enough money. So I'm explaining this because I was there personally trying to give guidance or advising the commission at the time. But as for any others, I will never be sure as to what happens to those.
And when you speak to the Gauteng Commission, you're talking about the Nkosi Thomas Commission?
Yes.
But perhaps there's an important aspect that Mr. Sibanyoni may want to touch on, because a particular witness was scheduled to testify that Monday. And then the commission was told there was no money that's available. Hence, the work of the commission has come to its conclusion. And perhaps maybe the Commission just needs to seek clarification from Mr. Sibanyoni as to which witness was scheduled to testify on that Monday.
Thank you.
Please respond to that.
Yes, I'm responding to that.
Yes, thank you.
On that particular Monday, unfortunately, Mr. Jotamsi was the one who was supposed to come and testify. So all eyes and our ears were glued to hear his testimony. Because in his affidavit, when he replied, it was said he was not my taxi owner, he was in the business of construction. So we were all eager to understand as to what the Commission is going to ask him about that, because he has licenses and all of those things. But unfortunately, a word came from above, the Commission has got no money anymore. Then we were frustrated, all of us, after that.
And that affidavit presumably was submitted to the Commission?
Submitted to the Commission, yes.
Mr. Sibanyoni, so where you say about that commission, the Nkosi Thomas Commission, you say its final report was never publicly released. In the light of what you've just said now, do you know for a fact that a final report was submitted?
No, it was not.
There was never a report?
Yeah, it was never a report.
Okay. Thank you.
And perhaps for the benefit of the Commission, we are embarking on all endeavors to try and retrieve the affidavit that Mr. Sibanyoni had made before that Commission and the documents that are annexed thereto. As we intimated earlier on, we have met with some challenges. We've also engaged with counsel that represented Mr. Sibanyoni before the Commission, and of course as well as the evidence leader. And I just think we need a bit more time, to lay our hands on the relevant documents. Some people have already conceded that they have drafts available, but, we don't want to submit draft and unsigned documents. So we're trying to lay our hands on the actual signed documents. But we'll engage with the evidence leader.
Let's hope the postponement will afford you sufficient time.
Thank you, Chairperson. But we'll engage with Mr. Chaskelson on these issues.
Thank you. Mr. Sibanyoni, you then moved to discuss the Shongwe Commission in quite a lot of detail. And you discuss the immediate factual context in paragraph 50. And you talk about 12 people being shot and killed in Gauteng in connection with taxi violence during November, December 2019 alone. Do you have any more detail in relation to those killings? Were they related to specific fights between specific associations, or do you not have that detail?
We're in number 50.
Paragraph 50, yes.
Can I read it loud so that I familiarize myself? Yeah. The immediate factual context was stark. More than 12 people were shot and killed in Gauteng in connection with the taxi violence during November and December 29 alone. The immediate context for the Commission's establishment. What I can explain in this paragraph is, for the mere fact that I met the leadership of the industry, I'll pick it up when somebody has been shot at. So from different levels of associations across South Africa. So in this particular instance, all I was trying to explain was the number of people that they are on record, and hearing that certain particular individual in Western Cape, in Gauteng, Soweto, something like that has happened. But for me in particular, to mention that in 2019, what I know about 1 or 2 members that have been killed that are maybe close to me, no.
Thank you. And then if you can pick up at paragraphs 51 and 52.
51. The Commission set approximately 14 months, encompassing 113 sittings at the MON Conference Center in Parktown, Johannesburg. It heard evidence from 127 witnesses. 59 gave oral evidence, 43 gave written evidence, and 25 gave evidence in camera. The Commission submitted its final report to Premier Makuro on or about 31 January 2021. The scale of participation underscores both the breadth of the problem and the willingness of industry participants, regulatory and victims to engage with processes that offered the prospects, however, often disappointed in the past of structural reform. Number 52, the in-camera evidence category is itself a measure of a dangerous environment in which witnesses and industry participants operate. 25 of the 127 witnesses' identities were withheld during the public proceedings, given the proven risk of reprisal to those who speak openly about the taxi violence. The key structural findings, the scale of the crisis. Number 53, the quantitative evidence before the Commission underscores the scale of the crisis. At the time of the Commission's report, there were 505 open case dockets relating to taxi violence. A substantial number could not be located to the taxi violence task team. Each detective carried an overwhelming caseload of ongoing investigations while new cases arrived daily. It was estimated that well over 50% of taxi vehicles in Gauteng were operating without operating license. Well over 100,000 minibus taxis operate Gauteng legally and illegally, policed by a GTP public transport unit of only 350 dedicated officers within a broader staff complement of 600.
So if I can stop you there, would you agree that the capacity of the Gauteng Traffic Police Public Transport Unit to essentially police the taxi industry was just horribly, it was horribly undercapacitated?
Yes.
Has that changed?
Come again?
Has it changed?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah. All I can add up as to whether it has changed or not changed. As we speak, under my leadership within the taxi departments, no more a lot of taxi violence is happening.
Sorry.
Therefore, what I'm trying to say, before they were undercapacitated, there were less number of police officers who were dealing with the taxi violence. But all I can say now, due to the decrease of taxi violence, I don't see this number is less now. It's equals to the task. Because the way that we're spreading in all officials' meetings, it's about peace, no more gun violence.
And what period are you talking about when you speak of the decrease of taxi violence?
2020 till today. From 2020 till now.
And your sense is that there's been a significant reduction in violence in the industry?
Correct.
If you can then continue to 50, sorry, did you want to add something? No. If you can continue to 54.
Number 54, the PRI was found to have failed to operate lawfully and independently. It requires association letters of recommendation as a de facto condition for operating license applications. Despite this not being legally required, it does not appropriately vet applicants for criminal records. It does not monitor compliance after issuing licenses. And most PRI functions are exercised by the GDRT officials who are not PRI employees and do not report to it. The operating license administration system called OLAS and the registration administration system called RAS were found to be outdated, designed for the National Land Transport Transition Act, not the NLTA. Slow and vulnerable to fraudulent manipulation, with fraudulent entries found to occur on Sundays and evenings when no one should have been accessing the system. Number 55, fraudulent route allocations was also documented. The Africa Mall route was registered to 2 associations, with one apparently having occupied irregularly through the assistance of certain GDRT employees. Violence followed. Cases remained unresolved years later, and those responsible were likely still employed at the GDRT. The Inkabi phenomenon.
Before we deal with Inkabi, or is Inkabi, what you've described here as Shongwe Commission recommendations, do they still reflect the status quo today? Has that changed?
Not yet.
It hasn't changed yet?
It hasn't yet changed.
Because, I mean, it seems to me that what's being described is, at the very least, criminal syndicates operating within the taxi industry and infiltrating government, if not law enforcement agencies.
Correct. The Izinkabi phenomenon, the Shongwe Commission's findings, number 56, among the most significant findings of the Shongwe Commission and of direct relevance to any question before this commission employing the term Izinkabi is the documented phenomenon of hired assassins in tax-related violence. I address the specific question raised in notice paragraph 2.17 fully in part Q of this statement. I set out here the structural and the factual background established by the commission.
Sorry, if I can just clarify, you're talking, when you refer to the commission there, it's the Shongwe Commission.
Yes, yeah. The commission found that of those killed in tax-related violence in Gauteng, 100% were shot with high-caliber rifles, as well as small firearms. Some of those high-caliber weapons were of the kind issued to state agencies such as the South African National Defence Force and the South African Police Service. Typical assassinations involved the use of firearms by hired gunmen known widely as Izinkabi.
Can I ask again? Can you just explain that first sentence? And I appreciate you're reporting a finding of the Shongwe Commission, but do you understand that finding to mean that in every case of taxi violence, a high caliber rifle is used? That no Izinkabi team will go out without an AK-47 or an R4 or some high caliber rifle like that? Is that what is being said in that first sentence?
Yes.
Thank you.
Number 58, Izinkabi are hired specialists in contact killing, brought in specifically for targeted eliminations. They are typically recruited from other provinces. KwaZulu-Natal was prominently identified as a primary source. They are paid large sums of money to take out operators as directed by those hiring them. In some instances, payment takes the form not of money but of being allowed to operate on certain routes, a practice that itself generates further violence. Hiring is done both by individual operators acting alone and by groups. Some of the money used to pay Izinkabi is sourced from the bucket money system. Security companies from KwaZulu-Natal have been hired by associations to instill fear at the ranks and openly display high-caliber firearms without permission. Certain killing...
Sorry, again, can I stop you here? Because it seems to me if this is a feature of the industry, it means that within the industry, people know how to, who to speak to get hold of an Inkabi, or how to contact Izinkabi directly. You can't have a system of this nature without knowledge of the identities or the associates of the Izinkabi freely available. Is that a fair assumption?
No, not at all.
No.
Yeah.
So how does the system work?
It depends from one person to another. Some people, you'll find him being the boss of Izinkabi. Then you'll find Christians within the associations that has got no knowledge of Inkabi. So it differs from one person to another. It's not a common cause in the industry that everyone knows what Inkabi stands for and how to make connections with that. I can employ you today to
Your voice has dropped,
Okay.
Mr. Sibanyoni.
I can employ you today to be a member of my association. Obviously, so you know nothing about this Inkabi. All you are interested is for you just making money. That's it.
But but there must be a substantial part of the industry
Like what?
that, well, I'm asking you, I don't know about the industry you do, but here we have a finding of the commission.
Yes, yeah.
Essentially saying that there is a systematic practice within at least large parts of this industry that people enforce control through violence and in particular through the use of izinkabi, which means there must be substantial sections of the industry that are at very least able to access izinkabi when they need them.
It depends on the leadership at the time. If you've got a leader that is used to fight his battles through Inkabi, then that particular space within that particular time will be led by Inkabi through that particular leader, not everyone. So if you've got a leader that has got no clue to deal with the Inkabis, then your association is at peace at all.
Well, we'll get to specific cases later when you talk to them. Maybe you can illustrate that.
Okay.
And if you can continue for now.
Number 59, certain killings specifically target the hired assassins after the fact to eliminate evidence of who commissioned the killings. This cycle of assassination, counter-assassination, silencing of witnesses, and the hiring of new Izinkabi is a self-perpetuating and an extremely difficult to investigate. Number 60, the Commission also identified 10 specific violence hotspots in Gauteng, Johannesburg Central, Everton, GP, Tsakane, Moroka, Linasia South, Ivory Park, Oliver Woods, Posh, Alexander in Hillbrow, with Jamestown and Phosphorus additionally mentioned. Number 61.
Maybe if you can amplify here. When I look at these, I don't see areas that I associate with you.
Yes, yeah.
Your associations haven't operated in any of those.
Yeah, not at all.
If you can continue then.
Number 61. Critically, the term Izinkabi does not carry a single fixed meaning in all contexts within the taxi industry. In its criminal connotation, the connotation in which this commission employs it in notice paragraph 2.17, Izinkabi refers to contract killers. However, within the internal lexicon and established culture of the South African taxi industry, the word Izinkabi is also widely used to refer to guards deployed at taxi rank, individuals who maintain order and security at the rank facilities, protecting drivers, commuters, and rank infrastructure. This dual usage is well understood by those who with experience of the industry. Any engagement with evidence employing the term must be attentive to this distinction. I address this fully in Part Q. Law enforcement failures, the Shongo Commission's findings, number 62. The Shongo Commission findings on law enforcement are among its most significant. They describe a structural pattern directly relevant to this Commission's terms of reference, which concern centrally the infiltration of an undue influence over institutions of the criminal justice system by criminal syndicates. Number 63, Section 13.d of the National Land Transport Act 5 of 2009 prohibits law enforcement officials and their immediate families from holding any direct financial or business interest in the public transport sector. The Commission found that this prohibition is widely violated. The leadership of both the Gauteng NTA and the leadership of Santaco confirmed before the Commission that it is widely known in the industry that some operators are proxies of law enforcement officers.
Can I stop you here? I mean, you're talking about a confirmation to the Shongwe Commission that some operators in the taxi industry are proxies for law enforcement operators. Are you aware of cases of this nature?
Yeah, I'm aware of such cases, not particularly in my association, so to put it.
No, but just more broadly, because certainly the Commission would be interested in knowing which operators are serving as proxies for law enforcement officers.
Yeah.
Would you be able to assist us in that regard?
No, with that, I'm not 100% sure, because this is it's a known fact somewhere within the tax association that some are proxies. It's a known fact, but you need to be sure as to which associations and who exactly are those people. Then you'll find it in some of the conflicts. It will be, this matter will always stand up that we are in this conflict because of this. But for the mere fact that we are not there local on that association, you can't pinpoint as to which officer for sure is a proxy to the taxi industry.
But is this information that you would be able, through your connections in the industry, to be able to assist us with? Could you?
No, unfortunately, that one, it's not possible.
Okay, well.
Because it's a man-to-man agreement. It's not easy to find it out.
All right, if you can continue.
Number 64. State-issued weapons of the type issued to the SANDF and SAPS were confiscated from suspects at the taxi violence crime scene. Planned operations were regularly leaked, with criminals avoiding arrest due to forewarning that could only have come from elements within law enforcement. Complaints were disclosed to the very people against whom they were laid, accompanied by the intimidation and threats to the complainants. The Joint Provincial Task Team Force, established in 2014 and considered effective by all role players who testified, simply ceased to operate when certain agencies withdrew their members without any rational explanation being provided to the Commission.
Again, if I can stop you there, do you know which agencies are being referred to here? Which agencies withdrew from the Joint Provincial Taxi Task Force?
Come again?
Which agencies withdrew from the Joint Provincial Taxi Task Force?
No, with this one, for me, I don't know anything yet. Yeah. Can I continue?
Yes, please do.
Number 65, investigative quality was found to be deficient throughout. Crime scenes not properly secured, witnesses not interviewed while evidence was fresh, exhibits not collected or recorded, CCTV footage not gathered timeously, ballistic links to other provinces not followed up, cell phone data not effectively utilized, crime intelligence absence from operations. SAPS management accepted all these findings unreservedly and without dispute. Some law enforcement officers were found to accept bribes from the errant operators as a matter of norm, to the point where taxi drivers budgeted for corrupt encounters. Officers of the GTP public transport unit are bribed at higher rates than others because they discontinue a vehicle from operating. Extortion is also practiced. Both parties to these corrupt exchanges have become brazen that they no longer conceal them. Number 66, these findings...
And just before Mr. Sibanyoni continues, the question posed by Mr. Chaskelson in respect of paragraph 64 in relation to the members that withdrew from the Joint Provincial Taxi Task Force, that information is in the report, and we have annexed the report. So we'll be able to extract the information from the report. I thought I'll just place it on record that it is there. We couldn't, of course, include everything, in Mr. Sibanyoni's affidavit to this commission.
Thank you, Mr. Abrams.
Number 66, these findings describe not isolated rogue individuals, but a systematic pattern of conflict of interest, proxy ownership, forewarning of operations, and the use of state-issued weapons in taxi violence. That pattern is a structural feature of an enforcement environment. It is directly relevant to the Commission's mandate and to the evidence that will be placed before it regarding relationship between industry participants and the law enforcement officials.
And these findings of the Shongwe Commission, are they consistent with your knowledge from your experience in the industry?
They are not 100%.
Which in particular would you take issue with?
Okay, can I repeat it again so that I just identified clearly to you? More especially at 65, like it has been like the report, as my advocate has already indicated to you that it is in some of the annexures. Some of these things mentioned here, the late arrival of the police, the the police not interviewing people on time, the CCTV footage not gathered terminously. Some of the things, much as the findings of the commission has indicated, are not the core thing to identify exactly the perpetrators of violence. Sometimes, for an example, you can see someone in a CCTV camera, but it's not easy to identify him. At some point, people got arrested based on the information from the CCTV camera just because of the stature. Yeah, just because of that, not exactly the same people. At some time, people seem to be the same, but don't you find that they are not the ones?
The broad picture described by the Commission is of criminal syndicates operating inside the taxi industry and infiltrating not just government agencies, but also law enforcement. Do you think that's
like what?
Well, what is reported?
Yeah, hence I'm sorry about that. Hence I say not most of them. Some of them I can concur with them, some I will not concur with them. Why concur, why not concur, is because I know my dealings. If I'm not involved with these particular things that have been mentioned here, then therefore I'm particularly know nothing about that. It depends from one particular leader to another leader. How does he deal with this thing?
No, I'm not asking you to say that you are part of a syndicate. You've made clear several times in your statement that you deny that.
Yes.
But certainly the picture that is described is that within your industry, there are criminal syndicates operating.
Yes.
And that those syndicates are able to infiltrate partly the transport department and associated institutions, but also law enforcement institutions.
Yeah, I will concur with the Department of Transport, whereby you find that, as it has been mentioned already, that you find some routes, for example, the Midrand Mall, when it was mentioned that they issued 2 operating licenses from 2 different associations for one particular route. It tells you that there is an infiltration because permits were issued on a Sunday. It tells you that there is an infiltration. The system on its own.
And what is said about bribing law enforcement officers and the like in the Shongwe report, is that not something
you hear about it?
Yes.
Yeah. If you're in that space, you will hear about it. For an example, one will just boast about it, that with me I've got a connection, you won't do anything about that. You'll hear someone talking about it, but you won't exactly mention as to who his connections are. But it is a pattern that happens.
Yes.
Yes.
But someone boasting about it is at least holding himself out to have infiltrated law enforcement. Let's continue on the recommendation.
The Shongwe Commission's recommendation number 67. The Commission's key recommendations submitted in January 2021 included the following. First, at number 68, first, structural reform, 1 township, 1 association. Associations to be rationalized so that there is only 1 association per town or township, limiting associations to their lawful mandate and removing them from operational matters. This model is already practiced successfully in the Free State. Number 69. Second, corporatization, individual operators to be encouraged to hold their interests through corporate structures, reducing the incentive for targeted individual killings and creating conditions for proper accounting, taxation, and regulatory compliance. Number 70. Third, a dedicated, well-resourced permanent taxi violence unit within the SAPS tasked with concluding all 505 outstanding dockets through prosecution-driven multidisciplinary investigations led by a senior officer with detective experience with active crime intelligence participation. Number 71. Fourth, money laundering investigation capacity within the SAPS for taxi violence cases. Some incidents of violence were preceded by moments of monies often collected illegally from the taxis in the ranks, tracing the flow of pocket money, security company payments, and the payments to Izingabi is indispensable to investigation the commission of violence. Number 72. Fifth, innovative witness protection to encourage eyewitness participation, the current system being inadequate for the dangers facing witnesses in tax-related prosecutions. Number 73. Six, a complete overhaul of the OLAS and the RAS information system with integration into ENATIS and the Department of Home Affairs, elimination of all fraudulent routes registration and criminal charges for those responsible. Number 74, the complementation status of these recommendations more than 5 years after the report was submitted in January 21 remain a matter of deep personal concern of mine and moreover remains an ongoing public and institutional concern. The cycle of violence in the industry will not be broken until the structural prescriptions are meaningfully implemented.
Ms. Sibanyoni, please read the first sentence again, 74.
The implementation status of these recommendations, more than 5 years after the report was submitted in January 2021, remains a matter of deep personal concern of mine and moreover remains ongoing public and institutional concern. The cycle of violence in the industry will not be broken until the structural prescriptions are meaningfully implemented.
Mr. Sibanyoni, what is OLAS and RAS information systems that you referred to in paragraph 73?
And OLAS is the document that you found when you submit an application to the Department of Transport. Then that receipt that they give it to you, it's an OLAS. Then a RAS, it's a document that you get from the Department of Transport whereby all members of that particular association are written in that particular paper.
Thank you.
Just to assist Commissioner, OLA stands for Operating License Administration System. And RAS is the, I think, Registration Administration System. They are terms that appear earlier in the statement.
My own engagement with the Shonga Commission and its relevance. I recorded...
Sorry, Mr. Sibanyoni, if we can just pause here. I'd like to deal with your engagement with the Shonga Commission, but I'd like to do that once we've located Annexure J.
Oh, okay, cool.
So maybe if you can move to paragraph 77 and pick up there.
Okay. It is submitted in the context of all that follows in this statement that the structural facts set out in this part are of foundational importance. A senior industry leader who has spent 4 decades in this environmental necessarily operates in daily proximity to its risk, its organizational dynamics, its conflicted enforcement landscape, and its violent fault lines. The mere fact of operating at the highest level of this industry cannot, without more, be construed as participation in criminality. The attribution of criminality to any individual must be assessed carefully against the full structural context this part has described. Number 38, I deny emphatically and absolutely that I am or have ever been a member of any criminal organization, the cartel, the syndicate, or grouping. I've never directed, financed, commissioned, or participated in any unlawful activity. I've never been tried or even convicted of any criminal offense. The Delmas charges are charges which I deny and I intend to contest fully so. Number 79, I'm known by the nickname of Joe Ferrari. I confirm this. This nickname arose originally from my lifestyle and personality over many years. It is a social nickname. It carries no criminal connotation whatsoever. Number 80, I note that Mr. Garrett Mnesty used the appellation number 1 in his commission testimony and alleged that it referred to me. I do not use that name or allies to refer to myself. Whether Mnesty or others use that term, in what context and with what meaning, it is a live factual issue that I deserve the right to address fully in a supplementary statement that after denying the complex transcript of this testimony, I deny that any such term, if used in reference to me, connotates any criminal role. Leadership of any criminal organization or any improper relation with any organ or state or official. B. Sibanyoni as a victim of organized crime, the assassination attempt. Number 81. I preface this part with a statement I regard as foundational to the Commission's understanding of my position long before this Commission was established, long before Regulation 10.6 notice was issued, and even before the attempt was made on my life on August 22, I was reporting to the Minister of Police, Minister Pegitele, about the criminal networks operating within the taxi industry, including the complexity of very senior sub-officials in those networks. I was the person who sought the minister's attention, not the person being investigated for corruption. Simultaneously, I also sought the former acting National Commissioner General Mkwana to assist with the very issues and raised under concern with Minister Atele. B1. The WhatsApp message to the Minister Pegitele dated 5 May 2022, number 82. I ask the Commission to appreciate what follows not merely as factual background, but as constitutionally significant context long before this Commission was established, long before a subpoena was served upon me, and long before any allegation was made publicly against me. I was the person who walked towards the state rather than away from it. On May 5, 2022, approximately 3 months before the attempt of my life in August 22, I sent a WhatsApp message directly to the Honorable Minister of Police, Mr. Pegitele. I did so voluntarily, at obvious personal risk and without any compulsion whatsoever. The text of that message, which is attached to the statement as Annexure K, reads as follows. Honorable Minister Cele, I am Mr. Joe Sibanyoni, a well-known taxi owner in Pretoria. I'm quite certain that you are expecting my call as per info given to yourself, Minister. My fundamental reason is to seek your audience under this current situation the country finds itself in, the COVID-19. The taxi industry is in the verge of catastrophic disaster. I felt unattended even now during COVID-19. These current killings of Gauteng and the KZN taxi operators, which I personally know of, if it wasn't for COVID-19, Minister, the killings would have easily escalated beyond measure. I certainly request your audience as a matter of urgency to avert more killings of innocent members that will make the source of these killings be impossible to get. As I send you this message, Minister, be aware that service delivery around Greater Tshwane and surroundings is highly disturbed by the same cartel which I have solid facts on. Please, Minister, it is my belief as a leader in the taxi industry and a senior citizen of South Africa, it will be very irresponsible of me to keep this information. Minister, you are the relevant person to get the first-hand information from me. One of the very disturbing facts is that the very senior SAPS officials are in this cabal. As per your statement, Minister, the policeman cannot die with the gun in his hand. Therefore, the taxi industry cannot die when I have such valuable information. Your favorable response will be greatly appreciated.
Can I just stop you there, because this is a very significant WhatsApp. And I'd just like you to amplify what you're saying here. Halfway through you say, as I send you this message, Minister, be aware that the service delivery around Greater Tshwane and surroundings is highly disturbed by the same cartel which I have solid facts on. What is this cartel that you are talking about? That's the first question. And how is it impacting on service delivery in Greater Tshwane?
My own understanding in terms of cartel, it was like a group of people doing some nasty, dirty work around Tshwane and Gauteng, as I've mentioned already. So what was happening in the first place, I wanted to give the minister for him to give me an audience so that I can explain further how do I see this happening. And obviously during that time, I thought it was easy maybe to get hold of him based on the information, the way I've gathered it, or I've sent it to him. And a lot of people were dying around Tshwane, for an example, because I'm a citizen around here. So I will have to know that people are dying there and there. Therefore, it was an obligation for me as a senior citizen here to give information to him.
Yes, but you speak specifically about a cartel that's involved here. and you'll later on say that very senior SAPS officials are in the cabal. I'm interested in who you're speaking about.
Yeah, I'll be direct in this particular instance. At that time, I had information that all this is happening because of the existence of the farm. So I took it that maybe the minister is not aware of that. But putting it to him directly so, and for him to give me audience so that I can give guidance as to where do I get this information or any assistance of that in a broader picture of this letter.
Again, we would like that information. I mean, what led you to believe that this cartel was a cartel based on the farm? On what basis? A very serious allegation you're making here, that the farm is controlling
Yes.
matters and service delivery in Tshwane is affected by the farm. What evidence did you have for that?
All I can say, the practical evidence one could never get, but the information from people that were reluctant to tell me was there. So talking to the minister for me, it was more relevant.
Can you please say more on the open quote, solid facts, close quote, that you told the minister you had?
Yeah,
That is about the cartel.
yeah, cartel in this context, I take it that as a group of persons living in the farm were the ones that were driving this force. Not to say that this particular person, but being there, and from the information that I gathered from one of my friends who is deceased now, I was quite certain that this matter comes from them.
And your knowledge of senior SAPS officials involved in the cabal?
No, I heard about that. From the information that I gathered, one will be knowing exactly that police are more often than not being seen at the farm.
Individuals in particular?
No, not really.
So no names were given to you?
Yeah, no names will be given.
So if General Cele had given you an audience, what would
Yes.
you have told him?
I was going to indicate to him, given the history of my taxi experience first, so that I take it into confidence as to what I'm going to talk about. To start with, it's something that is happening. So therefore, and indicate to him, maybe through his own intelligence, let him take this information and utilize it through his own intelligence. But the place will be clear that it doesn't originate from Cape Town or Durban. This thing originates from one particular place. Therefore, his job was going to be easy as all that. That was my understanding.
And when you refer to the farm, you're talking about Mr. Msibi's farm.
Correct, yes. Yeah.
But it seems to me, I mean, I must confess I was hoping that you would be able to give us a lot more detail than you just have. Because it seems to me from what you're saying now is that the only specific information that you had in relation to this was that a cartel organized around Mr. Msibi is infiltrating service delivery in Tshwane and has access to senior SAPS officers. Did you have any more information than that?
No, not more information. It can be specific, direct to this particular person, or because that's a broader picture of what I've heard.
Because, I mean, what your WhatsApp speaks of is solid facts, first-hand information. What was the first-hand information you had?
How do I understand it? You've got your colleague here next to you. I mean, if if he talks to you as a brother, to start with, you've got no reason to underestimate his statements as to whatever he gives you, because you'll be interrogating him, then you'll be at the end of the day convinced that it is exactly this thing is happening. Okay, what do I do next after that? I approach the minister. That's an umbrella to this whole thing.
No, I understand that, but what I'm really concerned about is essentially the lack of detail in the information that you had. You had no more information than
Bigger than
that
this.
Mr. Msibi is running a cartel out of his farm and infiltrating law enforcement and Tswani service delivery.
Yeah, 50-50 in a sense that the information was clear to me that whatever was happening was from the farm. The information was clear and I was convinced with that. Therefore, I need to take it to another level to assist. And it was good at the time if I was given an audience.
Just a moment, Mr. Chancellor. Ms. Sibanyoni, there's one or two things. Either you don't have those facts or you do have those facts, but you are reluctant to share them in a forum such as this. So I'm going to suggest that during tea time you discuss with your legal representatives and reflect on whether you want to give them in a different way, either in an affidavit, or if you don't have those facts, then you don't have those
Yes.
facts, we move on.
Yeah, let me just say.
So
don't
I know that there are issues you raised about security and other things, and we must be sensitive to that, so. But these facts are important for us because they are relevant to the terms of reference of this commission. So I hope you reflect on that during tea. You can take advice from your legal representatives, and then we can move forward from there.
Noted, Commissioner.
Otherwise, the information is not solid at all.
Yeah.
That is what you've given us thus far. It is not solid facts at all.
Noted.
Let's take the adjournment and resume at 11:40. Let's adjourn.